can't parlay yet. I do have things that I love. Here's the deal. I don't think Michael Porter Jr. I don't think he gets hot. I think that they're figured out a way to rattle him. I don't think he's going to be as good as he was in prior series. I don't think that the role players on the corners for Denver are going to be. I think that the way that Miami's defense has operated has gotten them a little shook. Even in game one when Miami kind of let guys go wild, KCP shooting 33% from three for both games. MPJ shooting 17% from three. For whatever reason, BetMGM has his threes number at 2.5 MPJ. I love the under. I love that. I like the under 1.5 for KCP as well. KCP has only had 1 3 each game. MPJ, like I said, I think he only had 2 threes in one game and 1 in the next. So I really like that in terms of three-point props. Jamal Murray has been getting absolutely strapped from Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler has been expending all of his energy to lock down on Jamal. So Jamal Murray has had to be really a facilitator as well. He had 10 assists in game 1, 10 assists in game 2. His number is only 6.5. I feel like that number is probably like an assist too low. 7.5, 8.5 would make me a lot more uncomfortable. And that kind of goes into this next prop that I like as well, which is Murray under 25.5 points. He had one game of 26. I think the other game was 18. Like I said, Jimmy Butler is a demon on defense. I don't think that stops. And over to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's just really been hampered with that ankle. And I think what he's seeing and is telling his team is, hey, you guys have to prop me up for 3 quarters. And then when the 4th quarter comes, I'll turn into an offensive juggernaut. So what that means for Jimmy Butler is he's been turning into an assist monster as well. 7 and 9 assists in game 1 and game 2. Over 6.5 has hit in both games, and then under 25.5 points for Jimmy Butler because, again, ankle is hampered, not a score for the first 3 quarters.
This team has a new head coach. They got a lot of things they need to work on this offseason, and an aging Chris Paul that can maybe only play 25, 27 minutes a game and only 45, 50 regular season games. Just can't get paid $47 million a year. So this is a smart thing for the Suns to do, and it still makes sense for him to be on Phoenix. But if he's not there, the Lakers are the favorite at plus 225, and it's the Clippers at plus 450 after that.
Yeah, I think also if you're Phoenix and you're Matt Ishbia, you're looking for a starting point guard. And Chris Paul just very clearly is good. He has a lot of values to him that help him on an organization that's trying to win a championship. He just can't be relied on. And that's just the harsh truth of it, is that Chris Paul's production has slipped.
Yeah.
Everything about his game is diminished. His injuries are rising pretty much every single year. He gets more and more injured as they go. So they need to figure out a way to make it work where maybe Chris Paul comes off the bench, and then maybe you try to find like a deal to get done with Fred VanVleet or a deal to be done with Kyrie Irving, and now you are cooking with gas.
That would be an electric team with either one of them.
Yeah.
Fred VanVleet is not Kyrie, but he would be a great fit with them.
Yep.
And just because in some ways you're like, all right, you got already 2 guys that are high-volume shooters, then you add Kyrie to the mix. It's going to be either alternate, you got to figure out who's doing what, especially late-game situations, but man, they could get buckets. And I think Chris Paul's actually a great fit with the Lakers, especially if they end up keeping, and I know people hate him, or laughed at the way he played in the playoffs, made fun of him. He's been a punching bag for years. But D'Angelo Russell, in the regular season, and for parts of the playoffs, was good. But then he was also really, really bad. So maybe you can get him on a little bit of a discount. Maybe it's even a shorter deal. And you have Chris Paul not having to play as many minutes because this is what he needed in Phoenix. Somebody like D'Angelo Russell, they're going to eat a lot of those point guard minutes.
And on top of that, Chris Paul's family is still in L.A. So he's obviously got a house that he has in Phoenix. But I know that he lives in the Valley of L.A.
He has lots of houses, let's be honest.
I mean, he's
rich.
got
quite a few.
He's rich.
Yeah.
But I think, like, his home base is still in L.A. So that would be a great fit, I think, for him.
Does Melo come out of retirement
personally? The banana boat, the entire banana boat back together, which would be funny.
I'm telling you, it would be the full circle after the trade initially was rescinded or cut off or said it couldn't happen or whatever by David Stern years ago to go to the Lakers, for him to now not be there until the very end of his career. But it does make sense. I think he's a good fit there. And look, if the Lakers do have that depth and add Chris Paul in that smaller role like that, it's not like it increases their title odds that much, but it does make them a better team. And we saw how good they were at the end of the regular season.
I just don't know if Chris Paul, how much money less he's willing to take.
Rory McIlroy said it correctly, where he still believes that Liv is no longer going to be in existence, maybe even 6 months down the road, a year from now. What's the point? If you're merging the two, truly, like, what is the point? I think Liv eventually will. I think I'm in agreement. I think eventually Liv will be cease to exist, and it's just going to go back to what it was. It's just so funny. You just don't know what to make of it. It's craziness.
Do you have? And we've talked to a few people about this on the show in the last 24 hours, and there's no really real consensus. So I don't think. Do you have any idea what this will look like? Not the business side of things, but events and stuff. Like, are they going to take some live ideas for some events?
What ideas is there to take? I don't like the three-day format.
I guess, and no cuts. I mean, I don't
know. Never. I could not ever envision the PGA dropping down to 3 days, only being 50-ish players. There's not anything. Maybe go to some more local events? I'm not sure. There's just not really anything. Like, you can look at the XFL and say, hey, you know what? The NFL really needs to adopt this rule. It could really be beneficial to the players' health. I don't see anything of benefit taking from the LIV and applying it to the PGA. I think the PGA is a great format for what it is now. It's the best of the best, and it's very difficult to win a golf tournament, so it makes it that much more special, unique. It's like the World Series of Poker. Now there's a bracelet every week for 3 months. It's holds less importance, but the PGA still holds supreme.
I understand the talk and I get it, I see it, but I just have a very, very. If Caleb Martin didn't win, Eastern Conference Finals MVP and the contribution that he had in that Celtics series consistently, I just don't know what would happen if Jimmy has a few good games and how they don't give it to Jimmy. Like, it's just kind of a precedence that has been set in the Eastern Conference Finals that kind of no matter what happens, as long as these guys have pretty decent stat lines, and I expect Jimmy Butler to bounce back, it's going to go to Jimmy Butler and Nikola Jokic.
Yeah, dude, they're a pesky team. They're very young. They're very fun. They've got guys who can hit, and they're hitting right away after getting called up. Yeah, that's the type of a team that you want to watch. That's what I care about. I mean, betting on this team is great too. 16-1. I don't hate the number. You can always get hot. They don't have the experience to really win it, I don't think, but they certainly are a team to, I think, bet on day by day, night by night.
Absolutely. I mean, this is just, at this point, too, it's just based on confidence for them. And I know, it's a long season, I get it, but these are the type, like, we tried this before, right, with the Magic?
Yeah.
It was 250-1 to win the division. Okay. That was worth a little bit of a sprinkle. This clearly isn't the same number, but you got to be able to see that stuff ahead of time.
That's betting for you.
And I would say this. I really like the idea of just ride the wave as long as you can, get them on the money line, hope that they're dogs a lot, and then get them that way. There are certain teams you can watch and go, ooh, they got a bright future, like across the board in sports, right? We are going. I might jump in now.
Orioles last year.
Ahead. Orioles, you saw that with them. We've been talking about the Magic. I think next year is the year where they could take that next step, at least to the play-in tournament, right? When you start looking at the Denver Nuggets, already there, but over the next 5 years could do a lot with this team. There's the Oklahoma City Thunder. Like, those are some of the stock down teams. We talk about that. Those are stock-up teams for me. Watching those young teams and then jumping in when you've got a futures market that's not really adjusted just yet, that's when you can find some of those opportunities too.
Yeah, especially if you think to yourself, all right, well, do I think this team is a move away? What do I think is going to happen moving forward? We're kind of in the prediction game. That's kind of what it's all about. And the thing that I'm curious about is just what Portland's going to do, because I feel like this is now dominating all of the NBA conversation, not just as now a Portland Trailblazers question and curiosity. This is now a league-wide thing, because if Portland didn't have the number 3 pick and they had the number 4 pick, we wouldn't even care. It wouldn't matter. It doesn't. We're trading the pick. Doesn't matter who's there. Amen Thompson, Oscar Thompson, whoever. That's just the way that it is. And now that Scoot looks as good as he does, as now that it looks like Charlotte is going and is prepared to take Brandon Miller. That's what all the reports are saying. Mm-hmm. If Scoot falls to 3, this could potentially be the most important, impactful number 3 pick since Michael Jordan. I've looked back. I haven't seen someone who could have easily gone number 1, go number 3. He would be going number 1 in almost any other draft, Scoot. I'm not getting nervous that he's going to leave. I'm getting nervous that Portland is going to come to mutual terms
This
with
is
him.
a big turnaround from
I hate it.
recently.
Scoot is so I texted some friends, and they after the Scoot workout, and I was in the middle of my watching the Spider-Verse, and I saw during the previews that they had worked out Scoot, and so I texted my friend and I said, hey, I didn't expect to really hear back, but they work for the Blazers, and I said, how was the Scoot workout? That's all I asked.
Mm-hmm.
How did the Scoot workout go? And the response was, like, he's going to be a star.
Mm-hmm.
The kid is an absolute stud. Ooh. And I thought to myself, well, it's over. It's over. When we've got the front office being like, he's going to be a flat-out star, and he's 18 years old, and you compare him with 19-year-old Shaedon Sharpe.
Ooh. Who's been made untouchable by the team, by the way.
For sure. So it's Shaedon and Scoot, and, like, you could trade Anthony Simons for something good, and you could trade Dame for a haul. Like, this is a fun, cute rebuilding team now that I can root for instead of just feel like, oh, just another day, just another mediocre team.
Dame.